Wow, Mother Nature's unending cycle sure supplies seemingly docile, yet enormous whitetails in velvet. What a way to kick our season off right this year. Here it is, August 20th already, and the calls of excitement continue to pour in. Those cell phones sure make it handy to hear from those guys. Joe Schultz called today with great news about spotting several deer with tremendous potential. It is such an intriguing part of hunting to lay eyes on one in velvet and then wonder all season long if you'll get another look once they turn hard horn. It doesn't happen real often, but when it does, there's a certain feeling of accomplishment. I wonder if we'll see any of those rascals later on this year. I certainly hope so.
Well, here we are, August 30th, opening day of Idaho's deer season. Man, I'm really excited to be out here. It's 90 degrees today. It's very hot. But last night we came in and saw two good bucks come right through here, right in front of this tree. Came in, hung the stand. Hopefully with a little luck, maybe we'll see some good deer, but it's just nice to be out west again. You gotta love it out here.
These western deer sure love alfalfa. It seems anything green, growing, and holding even the slightest amount of moisture is the key to success here. My only concern at this point is that a very late rising moon will keep any mature bucks out of sight until well beyond nightfall. Today is Saturday, September 1st, opening day in Washington State. I'm looking forward to a 2-hour drive through the Bitterroots westward into Washington State. Although Idaho was in the midst of a severe dry spell, there was no shortage of breathtaking sights. From the mountains, streams, and valleys, we were in awe of its natural beauty and untouched wilderness. It was a wonderful and memorable trip, even though we were unable to harvest a mature buck. Our trek into the evergreen forest of the American Northwest continued on into the great state of Washington in our never-ending quest to harvest a mature whitetail buck. Based on my conversations with Joe Rasmussen, this should be a very productive hunt.
Well, here we are, day 5 of our western trip. We started out over in Idaho, had a pretty good evening that first evening, saw a nice 8 and a nice 10, decided to pass, and since then the movement's just been super late. The weather's been hot. Today is one of the better days we've had. The wind is not nearly as brisk as it's been. The high today was about 78. We got sunshiny skies. A little front just passed through midday today. So I think everything's lined up except for the moon. The moon's rising kind of late, but still and yet, hopefully we'll get some movement that last 15 or 20 minutes. There's turkeys right here. Whole flock of them. There's young birds and jays and hens. Boy, it's windy tonight.
With the passing of each day, I've come to realize the movement is simply too late for a decent shot, much less decent video. The story unfolded so predictably again and again. 1 hour before dark, does and little ones. At sunset, the young immature bucks. And finally at nightfall, well beyond shooting light, racks and bodies begin to silhouette against a western sky. It's trips like these that make me appreciate and understand how critical weather and moon times can be to success. I'm certain we haven't seen the final chapter unfold here. Joe Rasmussen has taken a liking to this filming bit. He says he'd love to utilize a camera next month. His 9-year-old son Ben holds an early season muzzleloader permit. We'll see how that works out.
Here it is, October 1st already. We're finally starting to get some cool temperatures in the evenings. It sounded like Mark had a tough time out in Idaho and Washington. He was about a week to 10 days behind the moon phase where he likes it. I'll bet next fall he watches that old moon a little closer before he plans his trip. I know it sure has an impact on when they move and how late they hit the feed field. I'm just happy to be back in a tree. The long summer kind of wears on you. My first outing couldn't have been any better. I was lucky enough to lay eyes on a big mature rascal right off the bat. I can't say for sure, but I'm fairly certain it's the same buck I spotted in late July. There were 2 or 3 giants traveling together. I was just hoping that one of the other 2 would show themselves, only a little closer to my proximity.
What a tremendous deer.
Calling during early October is fruitless, but it's not uncommon to see the same small bachelor group 2 or 3 evenings in a row. It was the first night out, and the anticipation was already killing me. It's going to be a long season. Nothing to do but wait and observe. I vividly remember the distinct footsteps that sounded like cattle, and wondering if it was the other giant slowly entering the field. I strained my eyes through the foliage, trying to make out a figure. Well, there was my giant. He'd forgotten to wear his headgear this evening. And then more footsteps. I was certain he was following that small buck. Well, so much for those early season jitters. It would have been too good to be true. But the heart pounding this early reminds me of why we do it. Quite a roller coaster. I did look at one particular tree all evening that could be the answer. We'll see. Observation can be priceless. If not for this year, maybe next.
What a tremendous deer. I've watched that deer one evening, one morning. I knew he was in here. I just didn't know where he'd pop out. We had to play the wind. Mark's been wanting to hang that gap over there. We've seen a lot of deer walk through there in past years. I found a shed antler just up from there one year. So I don't know, we may switch trees, depends on the wind. We hunted this side because if we had a west wind, if we get something northerly or easterly, we may be able to hunt that gap. Boy, he walked right under him.
I can't seem to get the thoughts of that big 9-point out of my mind, even though I saw him several days ago. I feel like he'll hang around that area for a while. He looked mighty comfortable there. Well, I was certainly glad to hear that Mark urged Joe Rasmussen to film Ben's first hunt. There's nothing like a young boy's eyes lighting up as he discovers the untamed world. Ben seems to be very responsible for his age. I think it's fantastic that he's willing to tackle almost anything. Mark felt strongly that Ben may have some luck. He said that the deer density in this particular area of Washington was good and felt that Joe's efforts would be time well spent with young Ben. A young boy can only harvest his first deer but once, and to capture it on film would be a great accomplishment.
That was awesome. I got it.
I heard that even Ben's mom, Jody, offered moral support. I think that's fantastic.
All right, Ben. What's that? Good shot.
It was awesome news from both Joe and Jody that Ben closed the deal. Ben's parents were a fantastic support team. I know he had to be a very happy young man.
It's a little windy today. I'm gonna put the safety belt on tight. It's been about 70 degrees. And boy, you know, mid-October is a tough time to hunt. But when you get one of these northerns that blow in, and that's what blew in last night and today, we had about an inch of rain yesterday, and today the winds are about 30 miles an hour. So when Terry and I get in that situation, we like to go down. We're not big fans of hunting low because the thermals and the wind currents can really mess with you. But when it's a strong wind, and this is a hollow that runs northwest, southeast, so the northwest should be consistent. We've got a cornfield up here. It's probably at least 300 or 400 yards away, and there's beans over here to our right too. So we wanted to get a little closer in to maybe catch one. You know, middle of October, you want to get it a little closer to their bed. So we snuck in here and see what happens. Well, you look at that bow, and 5 or 6 years ago, I'd have said you'd never catch me shooting a bow that looked like that. But Terry and I were lucky enough to go to Salt Lake City and visit the Hoyt plant, talk with the people out there, and try to learn more about the bows we're shooting. And this is what they call their tech series. This is a new Havoc tech. And, you know, this riser with this extra bar back here gets rid of all the vibration from that this cam and these limbs, you know, try to normally get to your hand. It deters it. Even though it's a split limb, you know, they're beefy split limbs. They really do build, in my opinion, the best bow in the market. The Havoc Tech, it's new for this year. First night hunting with it, too.
On the night of October 16th, Mark called me with a tone in his voice like I've only heard maybe one other time. As I patiently but anxiously listened, he began to tell me a whitetail story like those you only read about in Deer and Deer Hunting magazine. He said the evening was rather brisk with a stiff northwest wind, and the first deer appeared early, a 1.5-year-old buck. Well, as his voice broke in and out, he then began to describe the unimaginable as I sat down to listen.
Tremendous deer right here. He's rubbing at about 40 yards.
You could have heard a pin drop on my end as this miraculous story seemingly unfolded. He described an awesome buck rubbing a small tree at about 40 yards, his voice cracking with urgency, said that he just couldn't believe his own eyes, mentioned what a rare sight it is to see a mature buck to do this, and right in front of him. Then I started getting nervous.
He's making a round right here.
Still not knowing where this story was going, It must have been good or he wouldn't have been so excited. He continued to describe a huge 6x6 that might go 160 inches, building up his neck muscles while yet aggressively applying secretions from his scent glands near his eyes and forehead. I was just anxiously waiting for the end of the story. The tension was beginning to get unbearable.
Oh, that deer just wore us to a frazzle. He is a Jim Dandy. There goes the year and a half that was with him. We had a northwest wind. We had a funny feeling it's mid-October, but it's 50 degrees today. We're down here in this hollow. There's a cornfield about a quarter of a mile. We said we got to get closer to the bed because it's so middle of October. And that big boy there put on a show, boy. He made a rub for a long time. And a year and a half had already come in and committed, and I didn't know if he was going to give us a shot, but he gave me a broadside at 20. And havoc tech found its mark. Tell you what, I am fairly certain that was a killing shot. But it's cold tonight, it's supposed to get down to 30s. We may go look at the hit just to be sure. I never want to push a deer, you know, because I didn't get a complete pass through, which is not uncommon with my setup. You know, I shoot low 60s with a carbon arrow and a Spitfire. Chances are it took both lungs out, but I'm gonna go check just to be safe.
It was quite a mid-October story. He kept me on the edge of my seat wondering all night.
You know, there's an old saying, better safe than sorry. Backed out last night because didn't see any blood right there at the hit. It was gonna get down to 31 degrees. We said, let's let him go. And came in this morning and didn't go very far. And here he lays. He's just a fantastic deer. Look at that. It's such a rare occasion to get a mature deer in on you in October. I can think back through Drury Outdoors' history, and I can only think of 2 or 3 mature deer that we've ever taken in the month of October. It's a tough month to hunt, but we had a good cold front. Like I said, it got down to 30 last night. The winds were pretty high yesterday out of the north, so we got down in this hollow, cornfield about a quarter of a mile from us, and he came through right about 5:30, 6 o'clock, right when they're supposed to move. And luckily, got a brand new bow. It's the Hoyt Havoc Tech, and it found its mark, and we found the deer, and it's just about the best way you could possibly spend the middle of October. What a hunt.
One just never knows what to expect in mid-October. I certainly had no idea the whitetail gods would smile so affectionately upon Terry and me this early in the year. By October 22nd, more good news had arrived. Our dear friends Joe and Mitzi Schultz called to tell tales of an elusive wide Texas 8-point. Joe says his video of Mitzi's first whitetail was fantastic. I can't wait to see it.
There he is. That's the buck we took a look at this morning. Couldn't get a shot at him. Let him step out just a little further and squeeze the trigger. Great shot. You hit him hard. Congratulations. He ran off in the brush.
Finally.
This is my first deer hunt, and finally I got to find out what all the guys talk about when you get a rush, when you shoot one. So that's what I have right now. So I'm all excited, so I'll try to tell you what happened. This is the second day of the hunt, and we seen this deer earlier this morning, just didn't get a shot at it. So it came back in this afternoon, finally got a shot at it. So I shot it at 80 yards, and this Remington 260 really done the job. So pleased with this big wide point, 8-point deer. Can't wait to do it again.
Good for Mitzi and Joe. I'm sure that's a hunt they'll never forget. I wonder how Terry's doing in Illinois. If I know him well, and I think I do, I'd bet these stiff southeasterly breezes have him burrowed into the back hollow set below the white oak hump.
We got a nice buck coming this way. Really good.
The month of October slipped by quickly, which meant that the rut was getting closer and closer. The timber began to look more like fall. Grunting and rattling became more and more effective, just as it does each and every year. Male dominance is more important as pecking orders are established and territorial boundaries are marked. I know I've certainly seen the changes unfold. I've become more and more aware of the cycle each year. I had a great day today. I sure thought everything was going to come together. It was a really nice deer that drank out of a little branch, then bedded down for a moment. I wasn't real sure what to do.
Drink. Bedded down. pretty nice deer. Talk about where you slick. Saw him coming down the hollow, and he bedded down about 80 yards up there. So I used this twist tone, and I used a buck grunt at him a time or two, got his attention. He got up, he started coming this way. He stopped, he couldn't see the two deer. I went from buck to doe, back to buck, and he started coming. And as mature deer will do, he looks like a 4-year-old. He got downwind. Just one little scent stream of wind got to him. Away he went.
Something magical always happens this time of year. Things begin to unfold on the 1st of November. I came so close the other day, I just couldn't get him in. I spoke to Scotty Blair on the phone and told him to get his jolly old self up here. Things are just getting started. I know he loves this time of year. I hope he's in for a good season. He's had some tough times in years past. I don't know of anyone that enjoys the sport more than he does. He should be in for an eventful hunt. The bucks are just beginning to get into that cruising stage. Now's a great time to be in a transition zone. He might possibly catch one slipping back to bed mid-morning.
What a buck. As you can see, he come in, got downwind of us. It's about 9:42. Full moon's just now starting to fall. These deer's getting up, coming around, scent checking these hollows for does. This buck just come through cruising, come right in about 40 to 50 yards. No way I could have got a shot. Eased up, got right in downwind on us. Well, you see the end result. That's just deer hunting.
On November 2nd, Scotty conveyed that on the 1st he had an encounter with a cruiser mid-morning. He was going to give it another whirl in a little bit different area. Said he had an evening stand located where the timber meets a CRP field, hoping to catch another cruiser checking doe trails on his way to feed.
Here comes a real nice buck. What a rush. I know I didn't make the best shot in the world. But he's laying right here, not 20 yards from us. Great, mature, 3-year-old buck. Oh, man. What a evening. What a evening.
Man, what an exciting evening this evening. This great 3-year-old mature 8-pointer came in, offered me a beautiful 20-yard broadside wide open shot. I can't believe the devastation on this buck. When the arrow released, the buck hit the ground. I've never experienced that as a bow hunter. I thought my heart was going to explode right out of my chest when I seen it. And it's a hunt that I'll never ever forget. And man, it's just awesome to experience a hunt like this, and something I'll cherish for a long, long time.
Good for Scotty. He's waited 3 years for that Illinois buck with a bow. Our joyous celebration was dampened slightly as Dave Reisner called with news of a poacher's bullet reaching a buck he and Josh White had been chasing all year.
Definitely not a deer killed by a hunter. This is a nice buck. Awesome buck, but it's killed by a poacher. And now wildlife management, this is not part of any plan. It's done by people that don't have any care of the animal. It just utterly disgusts me that people would do this. You can clearly see right here that there's some type of a bullet hole. Looks like a bullet hole. Obviously the hindquarters have been eaten by coyotes. It's been sitting here a few days. I don't know if this is another shot area or if that's maybe coyote damage. This is just horrible. To see a deer of this quality, and it's got a unique drop point on it. To see a deer of this quality get taken by poachers, by people that have no care. I mean, poachers just don't do it. It's just, especially when you hunt the land and you're trying to get big bucks on the land and start a kind of a quality deer management program on the land where you're only taking mature bucks and then to have one taken like this, utterly disgusting.
My heart pours out for Dave. Animals of that magnitude were not meant to be wasted. What a travesty. On the morning of November 6th, I decided to settle into one of my favorite spots. A southerly airflow quickly had temperatures warming. In the deer movement, it was warming up too.
Big buck right here, shooter. He's running down the side. He's going up the hill. He's with that doe. Man alive, that was a giant, giant deer. Whew. They came out of nowhere. I looked to my right and just saw him running. He was dogging a doe. They just flew through real quick. There's a creek that follows the base of that hill. And they must have come out of that creek because they just appeared here in the field out of nowhere. But really a nice buck. And I called to him. I snort wheezed and stopped him. And I did a doe bleat and then a buck, like there was another buck over here chasing a doe, thinking, well, maybe she's not in heat and he'll leave her to come here, but he wouldn't do it. She's probably coming into heat, and when they're like that, it's very difficult to pull them off. But that's a very good bedding area that they just headed to. Possibly tonight, they'll come back out of it, so we might hunt over there tonight. It's kind of like roosting a turkey. We know where he went. If they come to this field tonight, we might get a crack at him. Good buck, good buck. Man, I can't get that big buck off of my mind, the one that ran through right here this morning. He ran that doe right past this set. Don't think I wasn't looking at this set. Then he went past it, and he went into bed in this hollow, which I hung this set for an evening set, because typically they come off of these hills in the evening, so if we're lucky and the wind doesn't mess us up, because we're getting a good south, but every once in a while it backdrafts just slightly. If we're lucky, we might get to see this guy if he comes out. It's worth a chance anyway. There's a doe up there. Oh, to her right, to her right. Giant deer, big deer. Oh boy. Big mature doe, and that is a giant deer with her. 6x6 typical. Went down in the creek. My, what a deer. Big typical 6x6. They walked down to the creek. Question is, are they going to come this way up the creek or that way the other way? 50-50 shot. I'm just in disbelief how big that deer is. He's a typical 6x6, 190 plus. I mean, he's a monster. We've got his shed at the house. Cross our fingers, we're lucky to even see a deer like that.
All it takes is one sighting of a monster like the one Mark saw on November the 6th to push you back up into a tree stand over and over again. I know I'll be hard-pressed to yank him away from that spot. Well, it sounds like Joe Schultz arrived in Illinois and is already strapped in and seeing good movement. The 8th is always a good time period. The bucks are really looking. Seems like he hit it just right. Joel told me last year that he was going to continue to concentrate on managing. I know that he's determined to improve our deer herd. Boy, what a great neighbor to have. We have so many of the same goals. I sure wish more of the surrounding landowners had Joe's attitude. It doesn't take but 4 or 5 adjoining landowners, all with the same end result in mind, to make a positive impact.
It's just a dude. Beautiful, beautiful 2-year-old buck. It's the first morning of the hunt in Illinois. Over the years, this has been one of our best spots. We had that buck 10 yards broadside. We had a little 3-pointer bedded down right here with us. So as you can see, we really do practice what we preach about herd management and letting the 2-year-olds pass. And we try to harvest only the 3-year-old bucks. This is going to be an exciting week. We've seen deer on their feet. We've seen movement early this morning. And I can't wait to see what happens here. It's a beautiful day, high pressure. I think it's going to be a good hunt. This buck just stepped in out of the field. everything in on us today, from good 2-year-olds, does, turkeys. We spotted this buck over here coming from the west. He had a busted G4 on the left side. Hard to judge that deer. I think he was a bad 3-year-old. The buck that we had came in earlier was just a real good 2-year-old. This was a 3-year-old deer. Probably messed up. I probably should have took that deer, but it's the first morning of the hunt. 2 great encounters, so it's early in the ball game. So, man, this is the best day I've had in the timber in a long time.
It's November and the rut's starting to crank up. We hunted this area about 2 or 3 days ago. We saw a few does, but nothing like we're used to. The deer are hanging up on a ridge back in there behind us and not making it to the field edge in time. And the reason being, these bucks are catching up with these does on this tall ridge and running them back and forth and just messing up the whole plan. Well, we decided we would let it rest, get the wind right, bring a couple climbing stands in here, move back in the timber, try to get back in there with them before daylight runs out, maybe get a shot at a good buck. We're going to rattle, we're going to grunt, and we'll see what happens.
It's always nice to hear from the new team members, and one of the more recent was Troy Williams. His news on the 9th of November was exactly what we wanted to hear. He described to me a pretty solid game plan for hunting hardwood timber. The bucks were intercepting the does on a ridgetop prior to advancing to feed fields below, so they elected to hang smack dab in the middle with them.
Small buck running these does up and down the ridge. They're doing just what we thought they was going to do. Just need a big buck now. Sat in our stand the other evening, and these deer come out to us, and we could hear them running this ridge top. We heard bucks tending some does, running around chasing them back and forth, a wide ridge top there. So we figured we had to do something. We had to make a move in there, so we gave it a 2-day rest. We went back in there, Carried some climbing stands in there, picked us out a couple of trees, and sure enough, it was just what we expected. He come on in, I stopped him with a little grunt, and made a good clean shot on him. He's a good, healthy, I believe he's a 3.5-year-old deer. Been doing some fighting, he's all scarred up. Neck swole up good, smells of rut real bad. He's got a good spread. Just a great looking deer, great to see in the woods. It's a real healthy deer.
November the 10th. Awesome news today from Troy Williams and David Foray. 2 new and exciting additions to our team. I wonder how Randy and Kirby are doing in Illinois. I know they were both full of excitement as they prepared for a week-long hunt together. Anytime those two go out, you just never know what they'll get into. I can't wait to see how they do.
It's a nice encounter of a 2.5-year-old. We sat in here this morning, nothing really moving. So I started grunting a little bit. Started rattling a little bit. Next thing I know, Kirby's there, here he comes. I just didn't really want to take him, so we're gonna stay here a while longer. See if we can get something else to come in. There goes a $20 arrow. What a morning. First we rattle in a buck, then a coyote comes in 5 minutes later. I miss him. Then I hear deer start blowing over here to my right. And I look over and here's a bobcat. So I start squealing with my hand. And we call him into this ditch right here in front of us. He stood there and looked at us, couldn't figure us out. There's still does over here. I just seen another one. So we're gonna give it a break. See what they do. If nothing happens, we're gonna try rattling one more time. Try to get something else in here.
I can still recall the excitement in Randy and Kirby's voices as they told the tale of a buck, a coyote, and a bobcat all within range in a span of 10 minutes. These are the memories that one holds for a lifetime. I'm glad they shared it with us. According to Randy, they decided to head south to the bottoms. Apparently, the rut was in full swing there. He said they were seeing some giant bucks. He thought one might hit 180. We'll see if he can prove it.
Just had a heck of a 10 come in. Does everything right. Starts going the way I grunt, and he comes back. Gets about 30 yards. I just shot hot. I thought he was 30 yards. I shot him was 34, so I don't know what happened. On a deer that big, you don't know what happened. But it's first morning. This place is awesome, the bottoms. I mean, it doesn't get much better than what that right there. I just blew it. Accept it and go on with it.
Tough luck for Randy. Each one of us knows that feeling all too well. Hopefully, things will turn around for him. It's easy to forget a miss when mature deer seem to be coming out of the woodwork. Mid-November truly is a special time.
Down here, southern Illinois, at the bottoms. We've been here for 3 days. Saturday morning, I missed a big 10 right off the bat. Big 10. We come back in here 2 days later. This 10 come back in today with a doe. I couldn't believe it. I mean, the doe ran right underneath us. I thought we was gonna slam him today. But he skirted us at 40 yards. He wouldn't come in and follow the doe. And I cannot believe the deer in this place. It's unreal. I've never seen nothing like it. we've seen 8 or 9 shooters in 2.5 days. It's just been unreal. Probably over 100 deer. I'm very, very impressed with this place.
Boy, does my heart pour out for Randy. I know exactly how he feels. Here it is, the middle of November, rut in full swing, and an opportunity of a lifetime.
Comes a buck chasing a doe.
Joe is as fired up as I've heard him in a while. The rut has everyone on their toes.
Yeah, baby. That's what I'm talking about. It's been... Whew. We have been hunting hard, I'm telling you what. For 8 days. We've sat here all evening. We've not seen a deer one. This is exactly what the heart of the rut can do. We've been in a 3 or 4 day lockdown period. We've sat here, we've not seen a deer. Here comes one hot doe in, brings a nice mature buck in. Perfect 22-yard broadside shot. And I'm telling you, man, I am tickled to death. Whew.
Man, what a hunt. We thought we were going to get skunked, not see any deer. We hadn't seen a deer all evening long. It's about the 7th day of the hunt here in the Midwest. The first couple of days we've seen a lot of good deer movement, a lot of bucks chasing does. All of a sudden we hit that 4 or 5 day lockdown period that we all experienced during the rut. And lo and behold, we seen one hot doe come by, brung this big, nice, mature 4.5-year-old by, gave us a perfect 22-yard broadside shot, and we were ready for the opportunity when it presented itself, and the old Hoyt Vortex found its mark, and it's a great day to end the season here in the Midwest.
By November 16th, a warm front had approached, but the bucks were starting to break away from the does and once again show themselves. Joe's diligence paid off with that hardwood stand. Man, what a hunt, and that reaction is priceless. Mr. Cool proved to all of us his blood boils in the same manner as ours. I love to see Joe get pumped. I think I'll try that bottom beanfield stand again. Visions of those 2 monsters from 10 days ago simply will not allow me to rest. Perhaps tonight will be the night.
Wind's really laying, boy. It's gonna be a beautiful evening. As warm as it's been, they ought to move tonight. It's already 25 after 3. Almost 25 after. Usually on these high pressure afternoons, they'll move a little earlier. We've been seeing movement about 4. Hopefully it'll get going even earlier tonight. Could end up being a circus out here. real slow. Finally, they came around the bend. Started working our way. She gave me a perfect shot right there at about 22, 23 yards. Here comes a little buck. And hit her good. Beam and drove right through. She can go 100 yards. Boy, that is always fun to take a mature animal, whether it's a doe or a buck. You know, we work real hard on our quality deer management. And, you know, it's always nice to take at least as many does or more than you do bucks. This gal came in and gave us a wonderful hunt this evening and made a decent shot. The Spitfire did its job. The Beeman ICS Hunter 340 did its job. The Havoc Tech did its job. And she went about 80 yards and fell down. So it was just a fun hunt.
It's always pleasant to hear that Mark's having some luck. I know he's pretty dedicated to keeping doe numbers in check. Well, if I had to pick one day a year to hunt, it would be November 17th. My luckiest day afield, I guess. It started out a little foggy, but as the morning progressed, the fog did finally lift, and the day went down as the absolute best.
Boy, nice deer. It's a pretty 2-year-old. Just the epitome of what you like to manage. We're hunting here in Illinois. This is the second day of their firearm season. And we've seen a lot of activity here this morning. It's really been enjoyable. Turkey's been making all kinds of racket. Seen a lot of deer move through. Just kind of enjoying the day. Nice buck. Like I said earlier, I'm just sitting here enjoying the morning. It's absolutely gorgeous morning. Sun's just coming up. Turkeys are still making a bunch of racket. Pretty little 2-year-old and then this beautiful 3-year-old. Really nice deer. Just waiting for something a little bigger. Steps out right there. There he is. Oh, tremendous buck. Nice deer. He's down right there. Nice deer. Hallelujah. It's been a long morning. We've had deer all over nervous. I mean, they have literally been at our feet all around. We had a beautiful 2-year-old came in earlier, and then a really, really nice 3-year-old. And I elected to pass him because he was 3, and I'm hunting one of my farms in Illinois. It's the second day of Illinois' gun season. And as I was saying, I elected to pass that beautiful 3-year-old. And then this buck gave us a shot. He is a dandy, really nice deer. He's down right over there. This is nice when you can see mature deer. That's an old deer. I still hear grunting. This has been the morning of all mornings. This is the morning from heaven. I've got to get down and go take a look at that dog. It looks really, really good.
Just completed wrapping my antler tag around this magnificent whitetail. I'll tell you what, I cannot say enough. This is, without question, the largest deer that I've ever had an opportunity to harvest, gun or bow. And it was a hunt that I will never, ever forget. I will always cherish it. It was a morning. We saw a little beautiful 2-year-old buck that was right under the tree, and then a 3-year-old that I elected to pass on because he was pretty, and thinking that he had a lot of potential. And lo and behold, waited for this guy to step out, and he sure did, and gave me an opportunity. And Remington did the trick. Those copper solids, boy, they're hard to beat. But I can't say enough about it. It's one of my happiest days, and the work and energy and time that goes into it all pays off. So all I got to do now is find Mark and see if he can't give me a hand on getting this big dog out of here. What a day! What a day! I can't put into words the way I feel right now. What a way to top off a season, to harvest the buck of a lifetime one day, and then to help the needy and hungry families the next. It's the 18th, and Pastor Barry stopped by today. We always look forward to hearing about the good things such as FHFH, farmers and hunters feeding the hungry. It's great to be committed to something so important in order to help those less fortunate. A warm feeling comes from inside, knowing the good we are doing. It's certainly the right thing.
Hi, I'm Barry Gillingham, Pastor Barry Gillingham, and I'm up here at the deer camp of the Drury Brothers, and they've donated deer to us in the past, and again this year, 2001 hunting season, and we're going to help distribute these deer to needy and hungry people around the greater St. Louis area. Some of them are going to be going, probably the bulk of them, to Larry Rice Ministries, and that man's doing a lot to help the needy. So I just want to say that on behalf of Larry Rice and all the hungry and needy people, we thank you very much, and we look forward to having a continuing relationship with you. We got loaded up 7 deer here, and they went out and got a couple today just so we'd have a couple extra to take back with us. It was just awesome.
On November 20th, good news from Dave Reisner regarding yet another newcomer. Grant Olson was an old friend that had been practicing quality deer management on his own level. Sounds like he had been seeing some really good deer and passing them in hopes of something mature. Well, according to Dave, Grant's efforts paid off in a big, big way.
Beautiful 2.5-year-old. I've been seeing a lot of really good deer this year, and I've told myself that that's just not one animal that I want to harvest this year. I'm looking for something probably a 3.5 or better. It's a gorgeous 2.5-year-old 9-point, I would guess. Just not quite what we were looking for this morning. You know, it's mid-November. Anything can happen. That's the second buck following a group of does, so we'll keep a vigil. Maybe something else will come through. He's down right over there. What a morning. We had 3 does come into the hayfield right behind us, followed by a 1.5-year-old buck, and then about 5 or 10 minutes later, here came a really pretty 9-point. I guess 2.5, not quite what we were looking for. Elected not to mess with him too much. He worked back away. I'm just sitting here. And then all of a sudden, the stick breaks. You turn around, and there's a nice buck running a doe. They come right up to 22, 23 yards. He's kind of busted up, but he's a mature animal. Put a good hit on him. Went down just over that hill. Boy, my heart's just pounding out of my chest. What a morning.
Well, here he is. What a heck of a 3.5-year-old whitetail. A friend of mine hunting just down the valley the other night said he had heard a buck fight that would rival thunder in the woods, and judging by this deer, I think he took the brunt of it. He's got 5 broken points. He's got a huge gash under his right eye, another one behind his main beam. You know, earlier today we had that 9-point 2.5-year-old come in, getting later in November, and it's amazing how big you want a little deer to look. But if you keep passing those 2.5s up and get into these 3.5s, good, nice, solid, heavy deer like this, it's well worth the wait.
The morning of November 26th dawned clear and cold. The deer here in Iowa seem to be slowing down a great deal. I feel like the hot period is definitely behind us now. Word from Randy Markham arrived from Kansas, and he said things are still going strong out in the Sunflower State.
Gorgeous animals and watch them come in and do what they do. I'm really blessed this morning to get to see all that. If that don't fire you up, you've got no business being out here. That's awesome. Oh, that's great. Lord Almighty, that's great. We've got a natural funnel and a creek crossing right here. We set the stands up. Everything worked just like it did. We got a line of scrapes and rubs comes all the way along this field. You do your homework and set up right, and this is what can happen for you. We've seen a lot bigger deer than this even, but he tickles me to death. It was a great hunt.
By November 27th, signs of the rut were beginning to slow down. We thought. Then our good friend from Iowa, Dave Kramer, called with an amazing tale. It seems Dave was able to capture on film what few have ever witnessed. 2 gigantic mature whitetails hopelessly locked in combat. Dave said the sight was awesome for a while, then turned very sad as death seemed almost imminent. All he could do was stand back, watch, and capture on film the rare occurrence. Dave reported that after hours upon hours of hopeless fighting, the two giants had finally succumbed to exhaustion. It was then that two nearby farmers came to the rescue. No one knows whether the two monarchs survived the season. My hope is that both bucks live to fight another day.
Still, to this day, I've never seen anything quite like those bucks locked together. Thank goodness for the brave soul that saved their lives by sawing an antler and getting them apart. Well, it's December the 1st, and Mark's news wasn't as pleasant. Similar circumstances, but an unfortunate ending. It gives me a rather ill feeling. Turns out a neighbor found a pair of locked bucks that weren't so lucky as to have someone help them apart. Another of Mother Nature's gruesome yet realistic reminders of a huge plan that we only play a small part in.
I'd say that that's got to be a 4-year-old.
I thought so.
And that's probably a 3-year-old 10-point. That's something.
You know what? That's how come he couldn't get away from me, because
It's got his head locked right there.
this one right here was locked down there in that groove.
That beam got it.
Yeah. I'm saying when this old boy was up,
Yeah,
he was locked around his neck.
no doubt. That's a shame.
Mark described the unthinkable scene and made mention that it is not the way you envision carrying out two majestic whitetails. He was adamant about reporting the findings to local conservation authorities in order for them to keep accurate records.
Well, it's opening evening of shotgun hunting, season number 1 in Iowa. And we got out of the truck and we kicked up a 150-inch buck bedded with a doe. Sometimes that's the breaks, but it was just a pleasure to see. Hopefully we see something of that class tonight. We're going to be hunting over a bean field that John Odell was lucky enough last year to harvest a nice mature buck over. And we're hoping I have the same luck this year. We'll see what happens. Set up for an afternoon hunt. They like this bean field, so we have a west wind. It's gonna blow right in our face, right over a creek, and to a horse pasture behind us. And I know not too many deer cross these horses, so should have some luck.
Dale killed a nice bucking last year, and we did it again. This is first season shotgun Iowa. You gotta hunt food sources and doe groups. There's still a little bit in the rutting activity. He was looking for does. We just had these does go right by us, and came in just perfect. Our wind's going right into my face. That's a nice buck. That's a nice buck. What a great year.
There he is. Man, I'm glad you came out and looked. What a day. Look at it. Look at that. Oh. Look at that, Josh. Well, good thing you came back out with me, and we checked. We didn't see much blood last night, so we backed out. And you can tell I hit him high. Look at this. I mean, he is just awesome. Awesome buck. He's got good tine length. He's got this abnormality point. And you'd said you've been seeing this deer a couple times, haven't you?
Down in that little bean field still.
Yep. You know a buck like this if you see him because of that point.
Oh, yeah.
Hopefully we'll be doing this for a long, long time.
That sounds good.
And just make it better and better every year. What a nice buck.
Good for Dave. I'm glad he found his buck. Waiting until the following day definitely paid off. It sounds like John Odell crept away from his Seattle office to join Joe Rasmussen for a late season bow hunt.
I'm here in eastern Washington State, and this has been a lifelong dream for me to have the opportunity to come out west and hunt whitetails. And I've always wanted to harvest a mature buck with snow on the ground, so we have plenty of snow. It's been snowing the last couple days. We probably have, 14 to 16 inches of snow. And we're in an area that it's kind of a funnel. It bottlenecks the deer between two high ridges. And there's trails everywhere. And they've been digging at the bases of the trees and next to logs, anywhere they can try to root up food. So hopefully this evening we'll catch them coming out of their bedding areas, traveling down the chute down to an alfalfa field down at the bottom of this hill. So hopefully we'll have some luck. See what happens. Talk about your close calls. That was probably a mid 150 inch 9-pointer. What a gorgeous buck. He started to come in, and then for some reason, I don't know if our wind swirled or what, but he spooked and he ran off. Oh, great encounter. That was a great buck.
The Christmas holiday has come and gone, and now the one present I wanted for Christmas sits here beside me on the 26th. It has been 10 years since my wife Tracy had tried her luck at deer hunting, and after much prompting from me, finally she joins me again. The daytime highs barely made 20. A northwesterly wind was perfect for a cozy box blind at the back end of my favorite food plot.
steam in my face. I can't see.
Why can't you see?
Because of all this steam. There's a lot of steam. Why?
Because you're steamy. You're full of steam. I've been telling you that for years. You're full of steam.
Yeah. I'm blowing a lot of that air.
Blow your mask down. There you go.
He's missing out that side.
Yeah. Oh, there's nothing like with him.
ever imagine
No, I never imagined I'd kill a deer this size.
in your
Never.
wildest dreams?
No, I didn't.
And
Never
you
expected
made
that.
a perfect shot on this deer. I mean, you couldn't walk up to him and put your finger any more closely to where you want to hit one than where you hit it.
Well, I'm glad we did the practicing because it certainly paid off. I know that.
Man, what a buck. Look at this. He's a lot bigger than the ones Terry kills. Oh, he's going to be happy for you. Look at that deer. Just a beautiful, beautiful 8-point buck. Nice, nice
Very
deer.
nice. Very nice.
Well, what'd you think? You know, you've seen so much of our footage. What'd you think the real thing was versus?
No, it was really, really neat. Different than I've ever expected, because I've always watched the videos and things, but to actually be out here and actually harvest it and get to watch it. We watched him for the longest time eating in those bean fields, so it was just neat.
He was out there and all we could see were their racks for so long, him and that other kind of non-typical thing. He had the beam broke, and you said you wanted a perfect shot or you didn't want to try.
Exactly right.
Which is good. I mean, that's good to respect the animal and make sure you killed him, and boy, you did a nice job.
It was
only had one shot, shooting a muzzleloader.
He was close.
He was close.
Very close.
Good job. I'm so proud of you. Congratulations on your first buck.
My first buck.
Oh,
thank you.
Man, I'm proud of you.
I enjoyed it. Thank you.
You
for the
made my
memories.
season, girl. I know that. You made my season.
All in all, it's been a fantastic fall. Mark kicked the year off right with a huge 160-inch 6x6 in early October, not long after his return trip from out west to Idaho and Washington. From then on, it was really a pretty wide array of events. Little Ben Rasmussen had closed the deal on his first deer, and a pretty young lady in Mitzi Schultz took a nice deer in Texas. And even I was lucky enough to take the deer of a lifetime, which is a rarity for me. It's been a long time coming. But, as usual, the real workhorses, our go-to guys, Joe Schultz and Scotty Blair, have had another successful season. We can always count on them. And without fail, Dave Reisner and John Odell provided the brick and mortar again that Drury Outdoors has grown accustomed to. Unfortunately, Randy Helmkamp had a pretty rough season. I just know his luck has to change. There was one bright spot though. A couple of different newcomers contributed this year. Troy Williams on a late evening hunt, and Grant Olson connected on a near picture-perfect shot on a beautiful hunt. We also experienced two different locked buck scenarios, one that had a real happy ending and one that had a horrible ending, not something I care to see again. Last but certainly not least, Mark bookended the season by finishing up with a bang. His lovely wife Tracy shot a wonderful deer with a muzzleloader that was without question bigger than 90% of the deer I've harvested over the span of a 30-year hunting career. Go figure. What an incredible season. I don't know that we'll ever have another one quite like this one.